Good morning. Good morning. We're here for another great day. You're watching the Couples Academy show. My name is Hassani.
And I'm Danielle.
And we are Couples Academy. And every single morning we come to you for great conversation here from the headquarters of Atlanta, Georgia. And we're connecting with people all over the world. And so we love the fact that couples, no matter whether it's the morning, a noonday, or wee hours of the morning, wherever they may be, they are ready. They are ready to go to engage in great conversation. On yesterday, we were talking about narcissists, right? And how narcissists show up in relationships. And we're going to go a little bit deeper today. But Danielle, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I want to welcome some people because they're popping in so quick. Hey, Nish, good to see you. Hey, Angel. Good morning, Natalie. And Andre, they're coming a little bit slower than usually, but they're coming. They're going to get with us.
They're going to get with us. They're going to get with us.
We're going to continue this series on narcissism because we think it's such a powerful topic, and we have been getting messages for a while, people asking, can we deal with this topic? So we know that it's a problem and it's out there, and we hear it all the time. We hear people saying all the time, he's a narcissist, she's a narcissist. Yesterday, we talked about what that really means and what that really is. And today we're going to continue talking about how to deal with a narcissist. Join us now.
All right, we're back.
You're back.
So let's talk.
Yeah.
There's so much to get into.
Yep.
There's been so much great conversation and questions that came in on yesterday. So we want to dive right into this conversation.
Well, let's do that. I'm sorry. On delay. Listen, guys, this topic, narcissist, is very, very serious. Many of you talk about this all the time. How do you deal with a narcissist that you love? They may not even be aware. We talked about this yesterday, that sometimes a narcissist does get tested and find out, but most of them don't. So we only know about 6% of the US population are narcissistic. But obviously there's a lot more. Number one, we hear about it so much. We see them in the news. We see them all over the place, right? But there's no official diagnosis. So if you have an undiagnosed narcissist, or you think that they are a narcissist, what do you actually do about it? That's what we're going to get into. So the first thing you want to do is determine which type of narcissist you're dealing with, because there are some narcissists that are very covert in their operations. So it's on the down low. They don't want anybody to know. When they're around others, friends, family, they show up as a pretty decent human being, right? But on the backside of that, when it's just you and them, when they think they have a private moment, things are said, behaviors take place, and the narcissism shows up in these covert ways where they're trying to kind of take you down and pick you apart. Or are you dealing with the more grandiose kind? And that's the kind that you would probably recognize. This guy or gal is the one that's big and showy and talking about themselves all the time. They wear all of their everything on their sleeve. There's no secrets in them because they're projecting this image of success, and I'm a winner and I'm great and you're not, right? There's always that little piece. It's bigger than I'm projecting how good I am, but I'm also projecting how small you are. And those are the things that you'll see when you're looking at the two various types.
And there's something called the peacock, right? Think about a peacock when they spread their wings so that the world can see their beauty. They're, to your point, very showy and want the world to know how great they are. And even if they aren't all that, they have their own self-absorbed image of themselves, which is kind of like a delusion from reality sometimes, because they don't have a proper perspective of who they are. So self-awareness is so critically important for all of us, particularly the narcissists. If they could only see themselves, not through their own lenses, but through other people's lenses, maybe they would have a different perspective.
Right. Well, that's true. But the big issue is that they are kind of trapped in their own self-perspective, their self-identity, which comes from a place of lack, honestly. And that's why they're projecting in this way. It's actually insecurity. So when you have the two different types, the one that's more covert, who's like on the down low with it, and only you hear and only you see, and you have somebody saying, if you only knew how this person really talks and really thinks and all of that, that's the one that's covert. And then you have the one that's out there and flashy. You need to know who you're dealing with so that you can set up a plan of how to deal with them moving forward. Number two, you want to check the annoyance level, right? Check to see like if there's an underlying annoyance that you feel with this person, because they tend to be quite antagonistic. And it's not always out front and in your face, but sometimes it's just something that they're always doing or saying, or you just can feel that there's always some little dig, right? They're always got, like they're complimenting, but they're kind of dissing you at the same time, right? You know, or maybe they never, ever, ever part their lips to compliment you. Or maybe they just have aggression and you never know when they're going to blow up. And so you have to walk on eggshells around this personality style because you don't know when you're going to step on a landmine.
That's absolutely right. And that's why you have to really, that's why it's good to have a working knowledge and understanding of who you're dealing with. Like many of us have, you know, we're observing our spouse and we're saying, these signs, these symptoms may be reflective of somebody who has this particular disorder. But the question is, do they really do it? Now, on yesterday, the question was, you know, how do I find out if I have it? And we talked about a quiz. And if you look at the description of the video, you will notice that we put a link there for you to take a quiz. Now, once again, it is not officially being done by a claimed professional, licensed clinical professional, but it does give you some indication of where you fall in that spectrum. And so I would encourage you, go and take an official test, because once you have that test, being aware is so critically important, because then you know what to do with things.
Very good. You want to say hi to some people? We got a lot of new folks in there.
Calvin, Dejan,
Hey, Calvin.
Layla, Deborah, DJ, Lakeisha,
Hey, DJ.
Tori,
Hey,
DC Thornton. Good to see you, sis.
Yeah.
Man, Angel, Andre, Nisha, they're here. They're here. So let's keep this conversation going.
3, you have to appreciate where this mindset is coming from when you're dealing with a narcissist, because the fact that they are going to be challenging of you. You know, a narcissist personality will challenge authority just to test you, to put you on edge, to see if you actually know what it is that you say that you know. So when you understand that that personality style comes from a place of lack and self-worth, low self-worth and loathing, right? That's how they really feel inside. So they're projecting that on you. It's just like the bully in the playground, right? The bully in the playground is the big bad bully that'll beat everybody down. Nobody knows that at home, his dad or his mom is beating him down, right? So he's taking his abuse and he's putting it on you. And that's exactly what the narcissist is doing. So being aware of that. See, it's almost like you got to learn how to play the psychological game to deal with a narcissist, because a lot of it is psychological. Like they're projecting on you. And if you're unarmed and unaware of their tactics, they could have you actually thinking you crazy and something's wrong with you. So understanding that when they're projecting on you, it's exactly that. Their low self-worth, their insecurities are being projected on you. And you got to know that that comes from a place of hurt in their past.
Well, as they say, hurt people hurt people. And man, this is some good stuff. So in essence, there are things that you can do when knowing that you're working with someone who has the traits, if not they're properly diagnosed, but at least has the traits of narcissism. How do you exist in this relationship? How do you make it work? Is there hope? Is there a possibility? Well, that's what we're talking about here today.
Absolutely. Now, here's something else that you want to pay attention to. Evaluate the context of the situation, because, and we were just talking about this before, you know, a lot of times when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, when things are going well, it's because you did not get in the way of the narcissist's agenda, right? So you do have good times and you do have bad times, but anytime you have to confront, point out, correct anything that, or stop, or you object to any behavior, that's when you're going to move into conflict. And so it's like, you could say to yourself, well, you know, it's not that bad. We do have our good times, but pay attention to the context of the good times. Is it that they're really good times, which actually involves you, considering you, bringing you into the fold? You know, is it all centered and focused on the narcissistic agenda?
You're right. And so that, I mean, listen, Let's have a real conversation, because whether we're talking about narcissism or any type of negative issue in a relationship, a lot of times the finger's pointed at the person with the bad behavior, but a lot of times we're complicit. A lot of times we go along with, we accommodate, and then a lot of resentment and regret happens later in the relationship. I can't believe I allowed myself to put up with such and such for so long because your voice was silenced and you went along with that. And so you have to be able to protect yourself and build boundaries, if you will, for yourself in the relationship so that they don't railroad you in that relationship. Yeah. If it's not a mutually beneficial relationship, and oftentimes when you're dealing with a narcissist, it's not, you've got to begin to say, okay, what can I do to not just self-protect, because self-preservation ideally isn't the key to a successful relationship, but what are the boundaries we can put in place? What are the expectations we can properly set? Because listen, if you're not willing to change, then there's some changes I got to make for my own sanity, for my own sake, for the household, for the children, so that there's a sense of health and normalcy in this place.
Yeah, and I can hear people thinking, why would you, like, are you telling people to stay? We don't tell people what to do. We don't tell people to stay or to go. That's for you to decide. I say this all the time. You decided to stay in this relationship. Now it's time to put the big girl panties on. I can't even count how many times I've had to have this conversation with women in particular who have decided to stay with someone. They are still going through the hell, but that's the decision that they made. And I'm here to help and support you in that decision, as long as your life and safety are not in jeopardy. That's a different situation. But if you've decided to stay, if you've decided to love through this, if you've decided to make room for God to intervene and make a miracle happen, then it's my responsibility to give you what you need to try to make that happen.
Absolutely.
And that's what this is about. So stay or go, that's not a decision that we tell people to make.
Right. And we can't make that decision for you. The
Even
decision,
if we did say
it has to come from you, because when we listen, I remember earlier in the practice when we were working with couples, people would ask the opinion and I'm like, okay, well, this is what I would do. And I realized it didn't serve them because the decision didn't come from them. You've got to own it for yourself. It doesn't serve us.
Because then you see them walking down the street one day and they're still together.
And that's happened. And it's just like,
sure happens.
Okay. So the reality is we don't decide for you. We take you through a process that gives you the level of clarity and certainty about what steps to take next that are best for you in that situation. Here's we have a comment from Clarence. He says, I ordered over 15 books. I have I have a real good understanding of what I'm dealing with now. The therapy and the books help me with my healing. And I also have a support group. So you're doing the work. You're saying, you know what? I love my spouse. I'm staying in this marriage, but I need assistance to figure this thing out. So through and this is what happens. Usually the person who's on the hurt side of the offense is the one who's doing the research and doing the investigation and trying to unpack it to discover what do I need to do, and then seeking out therapy and then joining the support group. You're a perfect example of what people should be doing if they're in this situation. Now, the goal is, in addition to you doing your personal work, the person who's struggling with narcissism, they need to do that work as well. Like, people get so caught up in, this is just who I am. I am what I am. I'm not going to change. Well, you're definitely not going to change if you don't believe that there's any hope for you. We all can develop and grow and work and tweak certain things in our lives. And so whatever motivation is inside of you, our prayer is that same motivation will be inside of the narcissist that you're dealing with.
Absolutely. Number 5, maintain a positive outlook, because the reality is many narcissistic people actually enjoy seeing people suffer, be uncomfortable, agonize, ruffling their feathers. It's actually something that they enjoy. That's why they treat people the way that they treat people. And so what you don't want to do is fuel the fire, right? So what happens is they may be trying to antagonize you, get you tripped up, ruffle your feathers, and get you into an argument, because it's almost like it gives them the release. It supplies the narcissistic need, right? And so what you want to do is maintain a cool, maintain a calm, make light of the situation, because you know what it is. Think of it as like a screaming 5-year-old, right? Screaming for attention because they did not get some needs met when they were 5 years old. If you can imagine that screaming tantrum 5-year-old on the floor and you're a parent, you are not going to stoop to their level. You're going to rise above that level and you're going to be the grown up. And that's what you have to do in these situations.
Absolutely. These are some good tips. I hope you're getting something out of this. We have a few more, but what we want to do is we want to go quickly to a commercial break and we want to talk about our Moving Forward program. Many of you have been asking about it. We have such a number of group of couples who are getting the help that they need. And if that's you, if you're looking for something that will take your relationship to the next level, if you're looking for that support group, you're looking for that community, this is the place where you can find it. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. But one quick break. I want to show you something. So stay tuned for this quick, brief announcement. All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about how to deal with the narcissist. We've been talking about the steps that you can take to get your life, to get your relationship back in order. We want you to ask your questions. If there's anything that you want to know, questions that you have, comments that you want to make, that's what this is all about. This is going to eventually be a call-in show, but right now it's a comment show. So put those posts in so that we can acknowledge you. But until then, let's go back to these excellent points. What do we have, Danielle?
Yeah, so number 6, if you're keeping track, we're going to talk about not letting yourself get derailed. Don't let yourself get derailed. What do I mean by this? A lot of times you'll find that a narcissist might try to take center stage in front of you, right? And when that happens, you kind of lose your own sense of self-worth or your own sense of purpose in a situation. It's just what they do, right? So because they have a need for importance, they might try to steal the show. You've seen this happen. You've been in rooms where there's conversation and there's somebody that's just showboating and just, stealing all the oxygen, just breathing in all the air, not letting anybody get in a word on edgewise. So don't let yourself get derailed by that. Just recognize what that is. You don't have to always take the stage. You don't always have to have a tug of war, so to speak, or struggle for the stage or for the spotlight. And that's what that kind of looks like. And if you're dealing with 2 narcissistic people, I mean, this is a huge challenge. It
wow.
Require,
that's a combustible relationship.
It would require like an intervention, somebody on the outside looking in to say, hey guys, you both, this is how you're showing up. And that might matter because it might, depending on the type of narcissist you're dealing with, whether they are grandiose or a covert, the covert one is not going to like the fact that he's being seen that way, that he is showing up as a narcissist. He's going to want to go back into covert zone. So depending on who you're dealing with, that would matter. But nevertheless, if you don't have this need to be in the spotlight, if you're dealing with a narcissist that always steals the show, it might waken something up in you where you feel like you want to be seen. Recognize what you're dealing with. Every scenario doesn't involve that person. There's plenty of time and space for you to be seen. And you don't have to always try to steal the spotlight from that person at that time.
Absolutely. Here's a great question. How do you grow from being a narcissist? I think that's a great question. You know, at the end of the day, we talk about self-awareness. So number one is acknowledging that you are. So either, once again, you have traits of a narcissist, or you've been diagnosed. And then Danielle's gone through all the different kinds of narcissists. So the more knowledge you have about yourself, now you have at least the potential of a pathway to do something about it. Now, the reality is many of us, when people are going through situations in their relationship, a lot of times they want to take a break. A lot of times they want to separate. And we always hear that statement. Yeah, I'm just working on myself. I'm working on me. Well, what you doing? Yeah, right. You're doing nothing. Right. And so what we would encourage you to do is study on it. Right? Get help, join a support group, go to counseling, find somebody who specializes in this particular issue, because you can't rely on yourself to overcome your particular challenge. That is why we all have gifts and skills, and we have different trades in life that we need to rely upon to help us to become the best version of ourselves. One of the things that, we say in our men's group is every man needs a man. So my definition of manhood and what I've been raised in and what I've seen, I've got my perspective, but I have somebody else in my life who has a perspective and an experience that I don't have. So I'm made stronger as a man, or more complete as a man, when I'm surrounded by other great men. Likewise, we all need community, right? So joining a support group, focusing on your personal growth and self-development, getting a therapist or a counselor or a coach or somebody who can help you overcome, somebody who can help you recognize your blind spots and how to be more consciously aware, because many of us are unconsciously living life every single day because we're operating according to habits. And when you have a habit, you don't have to think about what to do. It's instinctual. You've been doing it long enough. The key is to identify the pattern that you're operating in and to break the habit and create a new pattern for your life. Those are the steps that you must take in order to become the best version of yourself, to grow within your particular issue.
Good point. I had another point to add on to that, but I lost it. So we're going to move on.
My answer was just that good.
Was that good.
Lene says, fascinating topic. I ordered that book, Rethinking Narcissism, from the library just to learn more about the subject. Man, I haven't heard about a library in a long time. Yeah. You said, I ain't buying it. I'm going to lease it for a couple weeks.
You know what? Another point to consider, if you're married to someone who you see who has narcissistic tendencies, because you can have a whole host of narcissistic tendencies, but not actually be a narcissist. You can be egotistical, you can be misogynist, you can be critical, you can have a whole lot of that going on and maybe still not be a narcissist, which is a diagnosis and is a medical condition, right? But if you're dealing with somebody who has these tendencies and is teachable, you're in luck, because teachability is huge. If you will not pick up a book, if you will not read an article, if you will not watch a video, if can't nobody tell you nothing, it's almost like a hopeless cause. Yeah. Now your mission is literally how to maneuver around this narcissist that's never going to change. That's a big decision to make.
And we were just talking about this. We have a morning routine that we do. And in our morning routine, we were talking about there's so many people who are just unteachable. Yeah. There's nothing worse than trying to have a conversation with somebody who just knows everything. You can't tell them nothing. And it's just like, what room is there to grow?
I mean, we can't even have a conversation. I can't even have an opinion around
an opinion.
Like, can I just have my opinion and you have your opinion? Is that okay?
And there's so many unwilling, unteachable, unmovable, stuck individuals who are trapped in their own way and never experience the beauties of life because they have this limited mindset that they've become, a slave to. How about that? They're so committed to it, they've become enslaved to it, and it's time to break yourself free. And so this is what we're talking about. The key to your relational restoration is your personal transformation. Remember, we talked about that yesterday. And when you're committed to becoming the best version of yourself, I don't care what your issue is, you will have a better relationship because your spouse becomes the number one benefactor of your personal change. So get this change, folks. We have a few more comments. Lene says, I'm sorry, I just read that. Clarence says, I have experienced everything that y'all talking about on this show. I have been in this marriage for the last 3 years. Yeah. That's a long time.
He says his wife has NPD, so he's aware.
Oh, he's aware. Right. So that's an official diagnosis. And so with that, you just have to make, decisions. Sometimes you have to make difficult decisions about what life is going to look like and what you're going to do and how you're going to take things to the next level.
Yeah. Number 7, keep a sense of humor. Why would you want to keep a sense of humor? Because you might find yourself quite often in situations where this person is saying things tongue in cheek, but really digging at your spirit, saying critical things to you with a smile on their face. They call it being nice, nasty. Okay, that's what they call it. They call it being nice, nasty. It's almost like, I see you, but you've said it and done it in such a covert way. If I call you on it, now I look crazy. Now you're going to make me look stupid in front of these people. And you already know that you're pushing my buttons. You know that you're heating up my thermometer inside. So what you've got to do is remember the child I said back a few minutes ago. Remember the 5-year-old child, right? Don't stoop to the level. Have a sense of humor and brush it off, knowing that this person, come on now, like seriously, we're not going to allow you to get under my skin, because that's the goal, to allow them to get under the skin. You got another?
We got time. We got 1 minute. So you got to say what you got to say.
We got one more point, number 8. And that is, sometimes the person just needs help. There's nothing that you can do. There's nothing that you can say. You need to recognize that and work on getting them in the hands of somebody that can actually support them, give them a diagnosis and a plan of awareness, because the narcissist really has no empathy. They can't feel you. So they need to go through a process to understand what to do, even when they don't know how to feel what to do.
Guys, I hope you're getting something out of this. You need to subscribe. You need to share. You need to let everybody know about this particular show. Tomorrow, we're talking about, can a narcissist actually change? We're going to give you those steps. So we hope you enjoyed today's episode. We love you, and we will see you in the AM. Take care.
Can bring us down. Can't nothing bring us down. Our love is too high. Bring us down. Can't nothing bring us down. Bring us down. Can't nothing bring us